Welcome back to Nostalgic Overload Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything 90s and 2000s, from movies, video games, to anything in pop culture. I am your host, Weston.
And I'm Andrew.
So we are very happy to bring you this background right here. This is Player 2 in our local area, an arcade. So it's so cool to be able to record an episode in an arcade with my friend here. And also we thank you guys out there for liking and commenting on all of our videos and our posts and sharing everything and bringing this joy to other people. Obviously, we hope that this podcast finds you on a Monday morning when you're heading into work and you're gonna have a long day, and it helps to make your day just a little bit easier, and we hope to bring joy to your day. So please be sure also, if you like this, to like, comment, and subscribe and share. We're on, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So
share away.
If
you enjoy listening to us,
because sharing is caring.
Sharing's caring.
First up is going to be the Cheetozard sold listing. So Cheetozard is a 3-inch flaming hot Cheeto that is shaped similarly to a Charizard, one of the original and most popular of the Pokemon franchise. The journey of the Cheetozard has been years long, with it originally surfacing around 2018 to 2022 with a first in gold collectibles. According to the listing description, the hot chip was stored in a plastic case and forgotten in a safe for years. According to an Instagram post from the first in gold, Cheetozard's quarters were later upgraded to a custom card in a transparent storage box. Larry Lucchino's Red Sox collection auction results in 2024. Arena Club acquired a Cheetozard and an inch mystery pack, leading us to the present day. So it's pretty crazy that a Cheeto sold for $87,000 and $890,000. Almost 90 grand for a Cheeto.
Flaming hot Cheeto, nonetheless.
So what else will they come out with? And it's crazy that somebody had it displayed in like a little case.
They had it in a safe.
So, like that. It looked just like a Pokemon card. So I just thought it was a cool little fact to toss in here for this episode. So next up is going to be arcades in the 90s. So some of the popular games from the 1990s, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, Time Crisis, Crazy Taxi, Mortal Kombat 2, NBA Jam, The House of the Dead 2, Virtual Fighter 2, X-Men, The Children of the Atom, and Cruisin' USA. So what are some things that you remember from the arcade growing up as a kid?
Or now, what are some of your favorite games you like to play now in arcades today?
What would yours be?
I'm a pinball head, so
which is why this is the background.
I really like playing pinball, but I like playing Galaga. I like playing some classics, Frogger, Pac-Man. Really, Spy Hunter over here off to the left of us is a phenomenal little driving shooting game. Stand up, great play. It is a fun play.
So as a kid growing up in the 90s, what arcade games did you play?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Gauntlet Legends. And
I just did a post on Instagram about that.
Gauntlet Legends was super classic. I remember going to Chironi's when we were kids, local pizza place here in Evansville, and they had Gauntlet Legends. We'd play Pac-Man, and then we'd spend the rest of our time on Gauntlet Legends.
Gauntlet Legends?
Gauntlet Legends is insanely great.
I'd say for me, Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Two great games, and by the way, out there, which one's your favorite? Because it's always a talk about which one is better. Which I think Street Fighter just has such awesome music, and it's not as bloody and gory, but Mortal Kombat 3 is definitely up there too. as one of those arcade games that you can still play. Something about being a kid and seeing blood and gore was like, wow, I am a little kid watching someone get brutally murdered in a fatality. So I would say those are my two. Obviously, you know, Cruising in the USA is a great one for like a driving game.
Cruising USA.
Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time is definitely one of those games too. It's just such a great game, and it's great when you don't have to pay for more coins when you come here, and you can just keep playing and never stop playing.
You can add a bunch of extra lives and play as long as your heart desires. It's fantastic.
Your pocket doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah.
So the first arcade game to be released to the public in 1971, it was created by Nolan Bushnell and Ted Dabney, who would later find Atari, and that's Computer Space, which I've never heard of. Pac-Man, the first mascot computer in gaming, and one of the first games to appeal to both men and women, because as we know, more men come to arcades probably, but there's also girls out there who also come, right? So it's good to have a mix of each one.
Gamers be gaming.
Gamers be gaming. Table air hockey, a competitive world championship tour, has been held every year in the United States since 1974, and Super Mario was originally known as Jumpman. I have seen a Mario fact too, by the way, that Nintendo picked a plumber as their person of choice because the guy that helped them to start their business looked just like Mario, which is pretty cool. Arcade culture. Arcades were a communal place where gaming culture was forged and refined, because this is prior to having, you know, PS5 and Switches.
All this technology we have now.
The golden age of arcade video games was the period of rapid growth, technology, development, and culture influence of arcade video games from the late 1970s to the early 1980s. A release of Space Invaders in 1978 led to a wave of shoot-'em-up games such as Galaxia and the vector-based Asteroids in 1979, made possible by new computer technology that has been greater power and lower cost. Arcade video games switched from black and white to color with titles such as Frogger, Centipede, taking advantage of the visual opportunities of bright palettes. So the golden age of arcade games began to wane in 1983 due to the plethora of clones of the popular titles that saturate arcades. The rise of home video games console, both coupled with a moral panic on the influence of arcade and video games on children. This fall occurred during the same time as the video game crash in 1983, but for different reasons. Those both marred revenues within the North American video game industry for several years. The arcade game sector revitalized during the early, what's that say? 1990s, particular with the mainstream success of fighting games, which is what we just talked about.
It's when we became violent.
When we became violent, when we would take our sticks and start using our fists.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, arcades in the 90s is key to our growing up. I mean, it's such a popular thing, and that's why this place right here is so awesome, because it's like bringing that back into the new era so that new kids can experience it, like my son or your brother's kids. Like, it's cool to see it come back into full circle. So some arcade games that are still played today is Galaga, Pac-Man, Frogger, and Mario, which when you see those cabinets on those pictures on the screen, I mean, Galaga is one of my mom's favorite games to play on the, what's that thing called, the plug and play?
Yeah,
you can like have the little like joystick. Remember as a kid that came out, it was like I could play arcade games on my TV.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so cool. And then Pac-Man, I mean, obviously Pac-Man's like an OG one. Frogger's also, and the original Mario, just the outside of that arcade, which would be something cool to have in my room, is one of the old school arcades like that, so you could see, because it just something about them just looks different. It's like, plus they're really heavy.
Very heavy.
So, as our backs know.
Yes.
Some of the most popular arcade games include Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 2, and Donkey Kong. Other popular games: Asteroids, Centipede, Galaxian, Defender, NBA Jam, Tempest, and Gumpy. Notable arcade games: The King of Fighters 97, Horizon Chase 2, and Narc. So arcade games are definitely super big. Next up is going to be skee ball and pinball and so much more. The original skee ball alleys were 30 feet long but were shortened to allow more players in arcades. Skee ball was invented by Joseph Forrester Simpson in Vineland, New Jersey in 1907. Skee ball became a competitive sport in 1932 when the first national tournament was held in Atlantic City. Women became more interested in skee ball when the lanes were shortened and the balls were made lighter. Because can you imagine throwing a heavy skee ball?
10-pound ball down the lane.
I'm not gonna lie though, you know from working here that a lot of kids throw those things all over the place. They end up almost out the window probably.
Anymore, it's like pitching practice. But it's crazy to me that so many people love skee ball. I love skee ball, but that there's people that spend so much money on skee ball. It's crazy for just a game that you're throwing balls down a lane. Imagine 30-foot lanes. That's insane.
When I think of skee ball, I think of that one on the left right there.
Yes.
And what it reminds me of, if you remember, at Chuck E. Cheese, that yellow lane with like the balls, like they're like kind of like a cream brown color.
Yeah.
And you put your little coins in, your little tokens, and and you're like, I'm gonna get a really great prize, and I don't have any tickets. And when the tickets actually came out too, and the tickets didn't come on a card, and you would actually take the tickets up to the thing, or you would keep rolls of them. Walk in there with like a suitcase full of rolls of tickets that you've acquired off the ground or out of a machine or wherever you found them.
Yep.
So, and then obviously I had to put for pinball. Yeah.
Medieval Madness, solid game.
That's my favorite. So. The first coin-operated pinball machine with a modern look was created by Atomic Industries in 1930s. The term pinball was coined in 1936. Pinball boards were originally studded with nails called pins and had hollows or pockets that scored points if the ball landed in them. So this next one I'm going to let you take.
Yes. So pinball, although popular, went into hiding. It was illegal in New York. It didn't necessarily disappear entirely. Just moved behind curtains to seedy pornography shops. So in Harlem and Greenwich Village. And the people were raiding pinball operators through the 1970s.
So can you imagine it being illegal
to play pinball?
And you know why?
Lock me up.
It said because like pinball was seen as like a way to like you would like gamble, so it's almost like playing slots, I guess, kind of. But that's crazy because like right now you look behind us and this is a kids arcade having pinball. Can you imagine getting raided because you have pinball?
Because some kids playing pinball? It'd be nuts.
That's just crazy. Like the thing that and the funny thing is the pornography shop. Yeah. Like that's where they would go.
Yeah, I don't. If you're going to a porno shop, I don't think you're really going there to gamble your money on pinball.
You're over there to read books, right?
Yes, it's for reading only.
So next up is going to be arcade environment, layout, black lights, and decor, and the carpet. Because as you see right here on this carpet, it's got that like star look. And I think the atmosphere is what makes an arcade, like the colors on the wall to like the lighting.
Yes.
It gives you that like feel of like
the aesthetic.
Like excitement. Like if this was just a basic floor, white walls, nothing on the walls, just blank, which by the way, Clint and Jared did a great job at this place. Like this, like with like the mural that you can't see off to the side here and like the coloring, it just gives you that like feel of like an arcade, like a place you go to have like fun. And like if you're a kid, you would come in here. This is like a toy store in a way. Like it's like their Toys R Us for them. Like it's just cool to like have the environment. And something I found out about the environment was a photographer Rob Ball has taken hundreds of photos of arcade carpets, which have been exhibited across the country. And this next one is the pictures. And that Sunspot one, which will show up on here on the screen in a second, it just gives you that like arcade feel. And you can kind of see like the different eras of arcades and like the different kind of carpet.
Artwork and
yeah, like it just
themes.
has like it's a place to like have fun and like have a good time. And it just has that like kind of like trippy looking carpet sometimes. And another thing is arcade owners often designed their own carpets instead of buying mass-produced ones.
Makes it yours.
It makes it yours, yeah.
It makes you personalize your experience to other people.
Yeah, because another thing with arcades, when you think about, is the coin guy too. By the way, that guy had to have a certain personality. There's no coins here,
but no coins.
Arcade carpets are often designed with neon or black lights and feature star swirls and other details because it's supposed to be like a like experience of like escaping from reality and like coming here to like play games and
stepping in a whole new world.
Yeah. Which this world doesn't cost you as much as it used to back in the day.
Nope. It's just $12 a person.
Which is way better, by the way. We're just super promoting this place. Like we're just gonna keep, they're just gonna keep promoting this place because this is an awesome place.
I'm not only doing this because I work here. I really enjoy the atmosphere. I enjoy my bosses. My bosses, the owners, are great people.
Yeah, and also we give a shout out to them for letting us come here and record because it's awesome. Because like to be able to just come in and like just record our podcast here, and this will happen other times. This obviously will not be the only one for sure. There will be more.
Yeah, you gotta like it first, though.
Yeah, you gotta like it, and you gotta love it, subscribe it, comment it, all that great stuff.
Send it to your grandparents,
or your mom,
or your dad,
or your stepdad.
Stream it. Listen to us while you sleep.
I don't know if I want people listening while they sleep.
If you want to.
All right, so next up, we're going to kind of swing out of the arcade topics, and we're going to go into PlayStation Magazine. And I picked this one first because for myself, this was like the like thing to go get at the store when you wanted to know about new games, how to beat things, to like because you didn't have the internet, or you would get a demo disc inside. And you would play that demo disc over and over and over and over.
And it was just the same level constantly.
Like, I still remember the game on PS1, Toomba. And I still have yet to play that game. But I played the demo disc a lot. Which is a crazy little game with the kid with a little pink hair. And, like, he's fighting pigs and all sorts of stuff. The PlayStation Magazine was a monthly video game magazine published by Ziff Davis Media. It was a sister publication of Electronic Gaming Monthly. The magazine focused exclusively on PlayStation hardware, software, culture, covering the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation Portable. Each issue included a disc that contained playable demos and the videos of PlayStation games. The magazine has had a nearly 10-year run. The first issue, cover dated October 1997, was published September 23rd, 1997, when the final issue was cover dated January 2007. So 1 year literally before I graduated high school, it stopped, which I stopped buying it prior to then because that's like the internet started, like late 2000s?
Yeah.
So
internet killed the magazines.
Yeah, I mean, remember like being in the bathroom and you have all those magazines, by the way, as like a side conversation, and you had them all and you would read them. Yeah. Like you would like read the back of shampoo bottles or like
yeah.
Like that was a different time, wasn't it? In the beginning, PlayStation Magazine had an anime style mascot named Banzi Chibi-chan. Created and illustrated by Robert. He was featured primarily in the early issues and even inspired apparel and other accessories. He was later dropped with the supposed reason being that the character was too childish and gave some the wrong impression about the magazine's intended audience. So a smiley face featured an eye patch with a star on it was also used, but it was eventually dropped after the magazine went through redesign in later years. The PlayStation magazine smiley face was notable for its appearance throughout the magazine, as well as on a lid sticker insert. Large circular stickers that could be placed decoratively on the lid of a PlayStation console, including one found in the first issue. Some lid stickers promotionally featured characters from PlayStation games being covered in the magazine. Other inserts included PlayStation memory card stickers, because back then we would put stickers on everything.
Yeah.
Featuring
Still do.
visual themes similar to the lid stickers, as well as video game tip sheets instead of the demo disc. Then competitor official PlayStation magazine was known for. The UK PlayStation magazine retired in 2021 after 25 years. So the UK version lasted forever. For some reason, things seem to be lasting a lot longer. They were starting to realize overseas than they last here. They get stopped, because in, I think it's in Japanese culture, they still play like arcade games, and they still kept that going. We just recently started to kind of bring it all back.
We're trying to, at least. But it's really rare to find strategy guides and stuff that PlayStation used to send out for like Final Fantasy and stuff like that. It's insane to me that
The price.
Yeah, but people have them and collect them, and it's great because you do you. If it makes you happy, cool. But there are some strategy guides out there that are worth so much money that someone's looking to buy.
PlayStation magazine, I remember that's how I got into God of War, because the first one I had a demo disc that I played over and over, and it only got you to a certain point, and then I do it again because I was like, I want this game, and here we are. I'm still playing that game because of it.
Yeah.
Which is also a great game, by the way. So, all right. So next up is Nintendo Power. Now, I personally did not have Nintendo Power, and I didn't collect it. Now, the first issue does go for some cash now, but I remember a friend of mine. He was the guy who played Nintendo most, so the covers obviously now are really cool. I would definitely go back and purchase them. Obviously, not to play any games I don't know how to play, but just to
have
flip them through them, because they're so cool, because they had all those little, how to do this or how to...
strategies.
Yeah, how to, play the game more efficiently and all that stuff. So...
how to maximize the fun you're having.
Maximize the fun. How to make Mario win quicker and jump in those little pockets in the sky to go higher. So, Nintendo Power was a video game news and strategy magazine from Nintendo America, first published in July of August 1988 as Nintendo's official print magazine for North America. The magazine publication was initially done monthly by Nintendo of America and then independently, and in December 2007 contracted to the Future US, the magazine subsidiary of British publisher Future Public. Its 24 production run is one of the longest of all video game magazines in the United States and in Canada. On August 21st of 2012, Nintendo announced that it would not be renewing the license agreement for Future Publishing, and that Nintendo Power would cease publication in December. The final issue,
285,
volume was 285, was released on December 11th of 2012. So it's crazy. Obviously magazines kind of came down and people buying them, so they had to just do other stuff.
But the fact that they put out 285 volumes of strategies,
of video game magazines, to release about new games, to everything you can probably think of under the sun,
or even old games.
And this is something I learned while I was looking this up, which this is why we like doing this, because we get to learn things as you guys learn. Is on December 20th of 2017, a podcast version of Nintendo Power was launched, which ran until 2023. It was hosted by Chris Slate, the former editor-in-chief of the magazine. The podcast is on hiatus as of 2024. So I didn't know there was a podcast for it. So that's kind of cool.
Me
The
reaching.
Nintendo Power line was a staffed hotline providing gameplay hints about Nintendo consoles, such as the Nintendo Entertainment System. It ran from the publishing of the first issue publication of Nintendo Power in 1988 until June 2010, closing in favor of the internet. The hotline was revived as an automated message from November 11th to November 13th in 2017 in celebration of the release of the NES Classic Edition.
Could
So
you
really
imagine
cool. You
having
could just
that?
call people.
Yeah.
Like that.
Could you imagine having that as a job?
Yeah, I answer the phone for people that don't know how to do things.
Yeah. Oh, you're struggling with this level? I got you, brother.
I'm not
Or
gonna lie, I
sister.
struggled a lot, but I didn't have a hotline to call, so it's pretty
Yeah.
cool that they had a hotline to call. Which back then you would just somehow figure it out, or sometimes you never figured it out, and
Yeah.
you would just move on to something else.
But to know that you had a number to call, that someone would be like, Nintendo Entertainment
Yeah.
System, how can I help
And this is on a home phone. This ain't on like a cell phone either, so it's not
Yeah.
like you were like sending them a page in, and this was like a guy's literal job. He just sat there and he had a shirt that said hotline for Nintendo
Yeah.
that he would call.
What's up, homie? What are you struggling with? Let me help you. Let me walk you through this.
And the mascot of Nintendo also is called Nestor. Nestor was created by Howard Phillips, president of the Nintendo Fun Club, a former editor of Nintendo Power, to be the supporting character in his comic strip. Howard and Nestor, the comic strip, generally advertised new games, often by dream sequences, where Nestor was actually a given video game character from 1989 to 1993. The Video Game Power Awards featured Nestor-shaped trophies and were referred to in the magazine as the Nestors in reference to the Oscars. So I didn't know that was their mascot. It's pretty cool. So
Pretty cool.
during 2001, Nintendo Power released a spin-off magazine named Nintendo Power Advance, featured the Game Boy Advance and its games. The first issue, complimentary for subscribers and sold at newsstands. 4 issues of Nintendo Power Advance were printed, and the last of which is a strategy guide for Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2. With the release of Pokemon for the Game Boy in 1999, Nintendo Power included 6 mini issues of Nintendo Power, mainly featuring tips and strategies for the game. In 1989, a smaller version of the magazine was called Pocket Power, was distributed at movie theaters showing The Wizard. So obviously Pokemon's huge, and to learn how to play Pokemon better.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you would just keep going through all
Keep
these
walking.
things. And every time you went to that cave, you always had to fight somebody. You can never
Yeah.
avoid fighting somebody.
They were teaching us to stay out of caves.
You can stay out of caves and don't get abducted by vans. Like that was
Yes.
the main objective right there.
Don't take free candy. Stay out of caves. This is a way of life in the 90s.
So I think gaming magazines was so big though. It's just so, it's kind of like sad to see they're gone, because like it was something about having things physically, you know, as we go
Yes.
to like,
In your hand.
but that's why I still buy games like physically. So something about actually holding something instead of like I have it on my, you know, my iPhone or my Android or like my tablet. Something about having it in your hand, like movies, like all that stuff. That if you don't have an like subscription, you don't keep everything. So it's kind of nice to have it in your hand. Obviously, it takes up a whole lot more space than if you had it on your iPhone or whatever. But
If you had it digitally, that's like VHS tapes. I still enjoy watching VHS tapes.
that's actually something I'd like to get into collecting, but it takes so much space.
Now they're expensive. They're so expensive.
There are
too.
some that go for a lot of money,
Yes, but they're classic, and you can't beat
Yeah.
classics.
and you can also play them too long and
Wear the tape
and
out.
wear the tape out.
Yeah,
But I would do it because they're a whole lot of fun to have, and sometimes people don't sell them for a lot. I've caught a couple of like deals off and on where I don't have to pay a fortune to own them. So
yeah. It's
All
good.
right.
It's good when your internet goes down too, because then you can still watch a movie.
yeah.
You know?
Or your Wi-Fi goes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just continue to watch things, like actually owning them.
Yeah.
It's like the magazines. I think the PlayStation and the Power ones, the cover would be cool to have on like a wall, because you can see that like artwork from like older games, and it's just cool to have. Like, it's almost like a
time machine,
relic of the past, you know, like you can
Yes.
flip through and the ads inside, and you see all the different like games being advertised, to like occasionally in magazines, not maybe those, but other ones had like people smoking and like advertising cigarettes, the guy with his hair slicked back and the cowboy
on
background.
his horse and
Yeah.
smoking's cool, but then
Then
don't
you
do it.
but they take it out of everything. People can't even smoke in shows hardly.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a totally different time. Yeah, it's like takes you back, or like those little the, like inserts that you would like mail away to get your sign up, or like to buy things, or like to a free shirt, or
coupons.
Yeah, and you had to like wait in the mail for it to come, but you didn't have a tracking thing to like track it for when it's coming to your house. So like it's a different time, like totally different time.
We were the generation that ruined coupons in stores because we would just take them. We didn't need them. Just take them.
Those little coupon
Peel
pull
them
things.
out. Yeah.
You'd walk through and you're like, I wonder how many things I can take for the thing.
$1 off of cream cheese. We're not even there for that, but let's take it.
Yeah, just the excitement of pulling it off and that to put it back.
And then hearing my parents complain that, you know, when we came home from the store and did laundry, there was a washer full of coupons because we kept them in our pockets. You know.
Man, what a different time, man. Just
different
times. Like, I want to give a shout out to our local game store, Evansville Toys and Games. Definitely a great store. The owners are awesome, and their kids. It's a store that if you want to pick up anything retro, new, old, video games, cards, action figures, I mean, they literally have everything. And if they don't have it now, they might have it down the road. And they're super friendly, and I highly recommend that you check them out if you're in the Evansville area.
Absolutely.
We both have experience with them.
Yeah.
And I have bought most of the stuff from there, actually. So a majority of the stuff you're seeing in the background is from there.
Yeah.
So
Great
they're an
collecting.
Awesome store for collecting, and we're not like paid to sponsor them. It's just out of our hearts because they're an awesome store and they're locally owned, and in a way they're like our Toys R Us.
Yeah.
Because we don't have Toys R Us here anymore.
I get the same feeling walking into Evansville Toys and Games as I did as a kid.
Except for my wallet hurts a little more.
Yeah,
Because I look at prices sometimes the older stuff, and I'm like, oh man, it's a little more expensive than it was.
We're just big kids with money now.
Big kids with money, and sometimes I got too much money to spend.
Yeah, but Evansville Toys and Games, huge shout out to Daniel and his crew. They're very, very family friendly, great people. They've served the community for many years here in Evansville.
Yeah, they've been through a lot.
Yes, a
And
lot of ups and downs, but they are building their business better every day. And again, not a sponsor, but people that enjoy the nostalgic and old school things, you know, even new stuff. You're helping them out. I want to give a shout out to High Score Saloon and High Score Player 2. They keep that kind of retro, nostalgic arcade theme alive in the community. Great people.
That's also something that we don't have anymore is arcades. I remember being in the mall, and it's definitely really cool for Player 2, and I help them any way that I can because they're an awesome place. They're on the west side, so they have 2 locations. It's Player 2, and that's an all kids arcade, and you pay
$12
a
person. 40 for 4,
and you can be there all day. You can come back. You can everything. Like
they
come
have
back. Pinball. So if you want to play pinball without paying a bunch of money, like you do at High Score sometimes, definitely can get really good at something. I wish the Halloween pinball machine that's currently at High Score would go over to Player 2. I would be playing it a lot. But it is cool to like the experience to like share with your kids. They have old school consoles, new school consoles.
varieties of
Dance
games.
Dance Revolution. If you want to have your eardrums blown out by the yeah, 'cause it's so loud.
There's a lot of rhythm games, hand rhythm games, older consoles,
and also
pinball,
the owners are all great too. I mean,
yes,
Clint
fantastic.
and Jared, the original owners, are hands down awesome guys, and a huge shout out to them.
Yes.
They are not paying us to sponsor them, but there are two places, Evansville Toys and Games and High Score and Player 2, that we both support, and you actually
Work there. Yes.
work at one, which is really cool. I mean,
yeah.
can you imagine being a kid and like, I mean, back in the day, you like use coins, and like now you just pay money, and you're like, I get to be here all day.
Now I'm like,
I can play so much Galaga and Pac-Man.
yeah, now I'm 34 and I can do this all day when I feel like it.
And they also just recently too started to sell video games,
consoles. Yeah, so if you're looking to unload some of your older games and consoles, High Score Player 2, you can check that out.
You can hit Andrew up, or you can hit up one of the other guys.
Yeah, see what kind of cash you could be sitting on.
I think it's really cool that my son is like, when we get together, number one is Andrew has to be there for him to go. But he loves to go there, and it's cool to think like 2024 and arcades are still popping again, and it's cool to see these, like, High Score is more of a barcade, whereas Player 2 is more
adult oriented,
like all ages.
Player
so it's
2 is
really
all
cool
ages,
to just get to be a kid, and if you have kids, you can go there, or if you just want to pay $12 to go be a kid or like as an adult and be a kid, it's way better than Chuck E. Cheese is here nowadays. So I definitely recommend checking them out. And if you go to High Score, you will need some money, because some things cost cash.
You pay for pinball, skee ball, Guitar Hero, claw machines.
And Guitar Hero just had a tournament.
A huge turnout for Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah,
and that's
which is crazy. It reminds me of that episode of like South Park.
Yeah.
Where they're like battling, and like I hear
yeah, but everyone's like, nothing happens in Evansville, but then they show out for a Guitar Hero battle.
Yeah, and so if you're over the age to be able to like
go into a bar,
alcohol, then you can go to
High Score Saloon,
and I highly recommend it. And they're always expanding, so there's always new games getting exchanged. Medieval Madness is definitely my top pinball game to go there for, which Halloween might be up there. I haven't played it yet, but Medieval Madness is. I use a lot of quarters to play.
Pulp Fiction right now is on my top. That game's awesome.
And also you have Oz there. Oz is Who's at the Door. Great guy, super cool guy,
lovely man.
So if you have a chance, check them out.
Check them out. Support local. Any chance you can.
Even on local weekend, or just anytime you want to. And just always never stop being a kid at heart.
Yeah.
So our next one's going to be about a different time. And that's MTV music videos. So back in the day, before you had YouTube and you had the internet, you would have to find out about new songs or new artists by watching the MTV music videos. I remember it being so big to be able to watch it and to learn about new artists that are upcoming and different things, and just to see the time it took to make the video, and then for you to see it, you had to catch it at a certain time.
Yep.
It didn't show the same one all day.
Yep.
So you would just catch it and you're like, oh man, this new artist, and that's how you find about artists. So that's why artists, I think, were more important to us, because we weren't so overly exposed.
Yeah, it wasn't so saturated with music.
And it's something about the MTV logo too, with the big M and the little TV and the little artwork, and you have, I think MTV was who had the Moon Man, right?
Back when MTV was about music,
not
reality shows and garbage.
MTV's co-founder uttered the network's first words, "Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll." These were the simple but effective words ever uttered on MTV, and they were delivered against a backdrop of another major launch, the Colombian Space Shuttle from earlier in the year, by one of the network's key players and chief operating officer, John Lack, who'd previously overseen the similar pioneering show Pop Clips, had been pivotal in making the idea of a 24/7 music videos a reality. In fact, it was his brainchild. Lack was also the man who announced to the world at the 1979 Billboard Music Video Conference that video radio was about to change the game. Which, what a true statement. And just to hear that classic like words uttered, ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, like it wasn't some other catchphrase like ratchet or like other hipster things that go on.
Skibbity.
Yeah.
Whatever kids are saying nowadays.
Whatever kids. It's funny to think we're the ones saying that now.
Yeah.
When we were the kids that were saying the crazy stuff. Neil Armstrong wasn't on board with being quoted in MTV's promotional material. MTV had planned to accompany its stock footage of the famous Apollo 11 moon landing with Neil Armstrong's iconic quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," and they were banking on the astronaut being too apathetic to deny them permission. In Craig Mark's excessive oral history, "I Want My MTV, the uncensored story of the music video revolution," head honcho Bob Pittman revealed, "We sent a letter to his lawyer. If we don't hear back from you, we're going to run this." Unfortunately, just days before the station's launch, they did hear back from Neil Armstrong, and in the form of a lawsuit threat too. That's just funny, like that you're gonna take it.
Gonna do that.
You already were on the moon. Like, why are you? Or well, you're on the moon, as some people don't believe. So
some people think the world's flat too. Think what you want to think.
Yeah, we're not here to judge. We're just here to have a good time. We're not here to.
Our opinions don't have to line up, but you do you. Whatever makes you happy.
There was a big dispute over the first song played on MTV. The Bugleys video Killed the Radio Killer seemed like a no-brainer to kick off the station's playing non-stop music videos, but program director Steve Casey claimed that he faced pushback from other creatives about the network's first ever promo. Although it reached number 1 in the band's UK homeland, the track only peaked at number 40 on this side of the Atlantic, and some MTV producers believed that they needed to launch with a bona fide hit. Thankfully, Casey used his persuasive powers. Nobody's going to be watching. It's symbolic, and the rest is pop culture history. So I don't know that song or video, but
you don't know Video Killed the Radio Star?
Well, like I probably do, but I just don't pop off my head. Well, when I think like MTV, I think of like I would say like Linkin Park would probably come to mind because of In the End and all those artists like in that era, you know. But I would say, continuing that conversation about MTV, I think it's really like sad that it's kind of like come down and like it's not there anymore. Obviously, it like some things can't grow with time and they just kind of fade off into the unknown.
Well, and that's like we said, the culture is so oversaturated. New music hitting constantly. Reality shows picked up. People lost touch in just wanting to listen to music. They wanted to watch other people's lives that are probably scripted anyway. You know what I mean? Just for entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, music's super influential to anyone, whether you believe in it or not. Music has a huge impact on people.
Oh yeah,
but being able to sit there before I got on the bus for school or something, and that's all I do is watch music videos, or I wasn't getting up and watching the weather and the news and stuff like that. I don't watch
weather even now.
I basically had MTV on in the background while I was brushing my teeth or doing whatever, taking my preschool dump. Music was playing.
Preschool dump.
Yeah, I never dutied at school unless I had to.
You can just do it at work and get paid.
Yeah, get paid for it. Once I get paid for it, I'm not such a shy shitter. It's, But back then at school, yeah. I didn't want someone walking in and being like, who's dookie? Everyone dookies, dude. Let me be.
They didn't include it, but obviously VH1 had a play in there too. It was kind of the same time. I think MTV, now, it doesn't play music videos. It plays like reality shows, and if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to think that the time has changed, and now it's just it's not the same. It's kind of like hopping on your MySpace.
Yeah.
It's not the same. They don't have the same feel now. It's kind of changed. Like, things have kind of like overlapped it, and now it's just kind of like,
MySpace was wild. We all taught ourselves how to code to make backgrounds and stuff like that. And like, we were teenagers learning to code and do all this stuff.
Like, we were gonna
felt like a hacker. I can do whatever I want just for a cool background that you changed every 8 hours or so.
Our next topic up is going to be movies that replayed in the household. So I remember when you turn on TV and like you would see a movie you've already seen, but you would still turn it on in the background or watch it, and you would have to watch the whole thing with ads, and like you couldn't fast forward, or unless you recorded it, I guess, then you could
fast
skip
forward.
past. Yeah, but what are some of the movies you remember replaying?
Men in Black for sure is one.
Men in Black?
I love Men in Black to this day. But now, home movies, if I were to go back, if I had them still, unfortunately I don't, which is terrible because I like watching me as a kid because I'm still a kid that's grown up. But in the background of our home movies, Terminator 2, always on in the background.
Really?
Yes, it was, and it's such a great movie to this day. Nutty Professor was one. Who doesn't love a good fart comedy? That movie.
So you're talking about playing in the background. The other day I was at Caddy Town for it's called Mr. Caddy Town now, but and in the background at this birthday party was Toy Story, and I was just drawn in to watching Toy Story because I love Toy Story as a kid. Even now, I can still sit and be just immersed into this movie because, I mean, you got Tom Hanks and Tim Allen as the main two guys, and then all the other people that are in there that are awesome. And it's just funny to think, like, it just pulls me in. It's like one of those, even I'm
tractor beam
older now, and I'm still like, I just love this movie.
Yeah.
And then obviously, like you were saying, I remember like Forrest Gump playing on, Sisters Act, Mask, Independence Day, which is a great movie.
Yeah.
Out there they did have Bug's Life, and my kids were like, I'm not interested in watching this, and then they were like all sitting there watching it, not talking to me.
Yeah.
Even though they don't like it. Like I was, and then Jumanji. That's a great one.
Night at the Roxbury. We actually, our grandmother had this on VHS. We'd come over to her house every Sunday, and we'd watch A Night at the Roxbury. She got so tired of that movie that she hid the VHS and got us all VHSs of that movie. It was a purple VHS tape. She got all of us that movie for Christmas. She hid her copy so we'd bring our copy.
So you bring your own copy to play?
And like every Sunday we'd watch A Night at the Roxbury. It would probably melt your mind the amount of times we watched that movie as kids, but it was our thing. It was our family Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was the most memorable ever.
It's just funny that you remember like watching something that like kind of like brings you all together.
Yeah.
Like
even though most of my family hated it after watching it so many times, we still did it.
You still just kept watching it.
Still did it. Yeah.
Just because it hits you in the heart, like it feels good to watch it all together. Yeah. And it's just like a different time of like having to TV guide and like looking through it when things come on too, and like
having a schedule,
knowing your numbers of your channels, because it would tell you like on this channel station you'll watch it, so you go to your, you know, if you had it, you know, if you had a cable, you would have to go through your list of your channels and find out like, okay, I have these numbers saved as a favorite, so I can go back and watch this. This is coming out this time. I want to watch this new movie, but I'm not going to go to the movie theater to watch it. I'm going to watch it on TV, but I got to be there at like 4 o'clock on the dot.
Yeah, 4 o'clock.
Or sometimes you would get on there and then the times were wrong and you would be like a half hour off.
Yeah.
Or like you would record something and it wouldn't be the whole thing because it cut off at a certain point.
Starting halfway in the movie and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Can't rewind it.
No. Then you had all the little ads, which honestly, that's how people are finding old ads, is by watching old tapes. So if you have old tapes out there, you could put those ads out there, and then other people can watch these old advertisements that are in there.
Yeah.
Because you can't have any other way. Sometimes that's the only way you can watch them.
Yeah.
So it's just a different time. All right. So next up is home movies, the era of home video recordings, and my mom's gonna watch with my dad, and they remember this giant, bulky, looked like a FBI case that you would put like buttons to like like documents or like activate a bomb or whatever, but this giant thing you'd carry around in this case and you put on your shoulder. It weighed like however heavy. It seemed like it would weigh a lot, and it had a VHS tape in it, so that's how old it was. And that's how we would record stuff, whereas now I have so much stuff on my phone recorded.
Yeah.
I can record anything I want at any moment, really not have any space to have to worry about. But like back then, you would have to, if it got full, you had to get a new tape, you had to record it, then you'd have to transfer that tape to, if you want it to be on a, like now, a USB drive or however you want it. So I have old tapes where I go back and watch them, and it's just crazy to think about someone holding a big old camera and like having like zoom in, zoom
blow
out.
out your
like,
candles, and they're
they got this giant thing like on their
your
shoulder.
face.
It looked like they were working for like a news station or something. Like just a different time, and it's crazy to think how I remember at like one point, and they got kind of smaller where they were more like digital, kind of compact. Now they're like obsolete because you have your phone. A camcorder is a self-contained portable electronic device with video and recording as its primary function. It is typically equipped with an articulating screen mounted on the left side, a belt to facilitate holding on the right side, hot swappable batteries facing towards the user, hot swappable recording media, an internal contained quiet optical zoom lens. The earliest camcorders were tape-based, recording along signals onto videotape cassettes. In the 2000s, a digital recording became the norm, and additionally, tapes were replaced by storage media such as mini HDD, mini DVD, internal flash memory, and SD cards. So as we said, like we now, by the way, we kind of upgraded on the podcast here, and we have like a camera. It took
digital camera.
It took me so long to figure out how to use a camera, because I've used an actual like camera in like a long time, because I've been using my phone for so long on anything. So it's crazy to think how we're like going back to it. We're like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of old. But like think about like back then.
Yeah.
You would have to like you would have to pull your like RC cords to hook up to your TV, so you could hook up the camera to the TV. And this is like
you could play it on the TV,
so everybody can watch it. And
now
we're all just amazed.
Now we can upload this straight onto the internet where you can see and hear us. Before, we'd have to make copies of a VHS and mail them to you.
Yeah,
which would still be cool to do. You know what I mean?
Actually, my sister has one of those cameras you take a picture with, and it like pulls out the picture on like the black and white little picture thing, and you have to like wait, and it like comes up on there. So totally different time than it is now. So definitely crazy, and it's cool to see that now we've kind of like moved on where things are a little easier. Our phones are way easier to hold up and take videos with, but
way more convenient.
Way more convenient
than lugging around a studio camera.
Yeah, definitely a different time that I'm it's cool to like think back on to like watch, but I couldn't imagine carrying a giant camera around to record things. And there are people out there that do use old cameras and old recorders to record things, get that kind of that like scratchy like look to everything. But I'm glad that we're past and we're moving on to something a lot easier. All right, so next up, the big boy here, Blockbuster. So everyone who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s remembers Blockbuster. Now, I personally didn't go to Blockbuster. My friend, let's see, when I was probably like 5 or 8, maybe, age, he went to Blockbuster. I remember going in there, and it's like the whole atmosphere, those long tubes that had those like pure sugar, and those plastic tubes. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is just literally sugar.
Just powdered,
like,
colored sugar.
Yeah.
Candy
and like,
everywhere, little not pre-made popcorn buckets, but you just take the film off and microwave them.
And if you had like a quarter, you would put it in the
gumball machine.
It would go to a little track and go down to the bottom, and you're like watching it, waiting for it to come down.
Trying to win a free rental or something.
Yeah.
They had those prize gumballs.
And also just the logo.
Mm-hmm.
The logo is everything. You can see that logo, and you would just know, like, it could have no words on it, and you know the blue and the yellow, just that classic logo.
Or even whenever Blockbuster started shutting down and they turned into other businesses, you could still see the outline of the logo.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was a Blockbuster.
There's actually one here that every time I drive by it, I remember, I'm like, that was a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, how do you remember that? It's like, I don't know. It's just ingrained into my memory.
Yeah, you can tell it was a Blockbuster.
It's like here, the Toys R Us that used to be here, you know, even though it's not a Toys R Us, there's that like look to the outside where you're like, I know this was a Toys R Us.
Yes.
I remember going through those doors, and so like Blockbuster is definitely one of those things. I went to Green's video rental back in the day, which was a little different, and it had like little tabs you would take off like the shelf and go up there, and it was a little more low key. Not like Blockbuster was like the king almost.
Yeah.
The first Blockbuster store opened because of failing oil prices. Entrepreneur David Cook was still smarting from a collapsed oil market in 1985 when his wife Sandy broached the idea of opening a video store. Cook had been writing computer programs to manage inventory for big oil business, but a market collapse led to a stack of unpaid invoices. At the same time, the VH rental market was exploding, growing from 7,000 stores in 1983 to 19,000 in 1986. The Cooks decided the industry could use a mega store with an inventory larger than independent shops could provide. Sandy came up with the familiar blue and yellow color scheme, and the Blockbuster was born.
Crazy. Crazy. From 7,000 stores in 1983 to 19,000 in 1986. That is a huge blow up.
Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy to think, like, just, that's a massive jump, which now, how many are there?
One.
I think it's closed.
Blockbuster. There's like one Blockbuster open somewhere in the United States still.
Oh, it was in Oregon, right?
Might be.
Is it that right? Or is it Washington, maybe? But, so, I'll let you take this one.
Blockbuster was the first video store to keep tapes on shelves. Rental stores in the 1980s had a problem. Patrons who enjoyed movies but didn't enjoy paying for them had a habit of relieving owners of their inventory. To discourage theft, an empty VHS box would sit on the shelf, and an exchange would be made at the counter. Because Blockbuster inventory was so vast, the Cooks began with 8,000 to 10,000 titles. It would be impossible to have a back room for the movies. The tape stayed on shelves, allowing customers to see what was in stock. The system allowed for quicker customer turnover and efficiency inventory system that could allow them to populate and
An entire store
entire store was stocked in a single day. By 1988, the franchise had more than 400 locations.
Wow. Now, that's a lot.
It is, and that's where the fees came in. You rented a movie for 2 days. If you brought it back in 4 days, you got hit with a late fee. Now, it's not like an overbearing amount, but like
yeah, but it adds up pretty quick.
My parents were definitely like, "Hey, this game has to go back on this day. Let's go."
And you're like, "I want to play it one more time because I might never get to play it again."
Yeah, and we rented the same games consistently, so it was cheaper than buying them.
Yeah, and you could play them over and over and get to experience them.
Yeah.
But you had like a certain amount of time to play it, so you could only get so far because you can't beat the whole game in like a day or however long you had it.
Oh, this one's great. You want me to take it? I'll take it.
Yeah, you take it.
Blockbuster is stained from porn. Unlike many mom and pop shops that had a neon sign and a set of swinging doors that led to an adult section of titles, the cooks decided early on that Blockbuster would be a genital-free zone. No porn. Sorry. It was a moral issue for them. We don't care if people watch pornography, Cook told Business Week. We just don't want to sell it to you. A lot of families came to our store only not because of the selection and not because of the long hours and not because of convenient checkout for 3-day rentals. They came because they didn't mind their kids running around the store because they wouldn't see any garbage.
So talking about stores, you remember that there's always that room in the back where it had like adults only on the sign and like the curtain where you could kind of see through a little bit, maybe if it was kind of open a little bit.
I was always too scared to go back there.
It was like, as a kid, you're like, I'm not an adult, I can't.
Yeah.
But like now, my son would probably try to go back there just because like we were different. We were more timid. We were like, we're not going to, but you're like, I'm just going to stay away from back there because I don't want my parents getting mad or seeing something weird.
I always wanted someone to come out so I could look back there. I always thought it was like
as they walk out, you're looking through.
Yeah, I thought it was some magic world back there where adults could go, but it's really
like it had secrets.
Yeah, it's really just a selection of movies that Dad's maybe gonna crank his hog to. You never know.
But it is funny that Blockbuster, they're more like family based,
Yeah.
So they try to kind of stay away from some of that stuff to make them.
They kept their morals in the right place.
Yeah,
it wasn't like some seedy back room.
Yeah, where people are watching movies back there.
Yeah, Daddy's got to get a movie for himself.
So this one's interesting. Blockbuster was sued by Nintendo. It was inevitably that Blockbuster and other video chains would capitalize on the resurgence of videos games in the 1980s by renting out popular titles Mario, Link. However, we're not selling to corporate. Sticking to its reputation for stern business, Nintendo sued the company in 1989 for copyright infringement, complaining that the stores were photocopying game manuals. Blockbuster said they were simply compensating for the worn-out originals. The two wound up settling out in court. By 1994, Nintendo had capitalized on its anti-rental stance, and Blockbuster reported that game rentals made up 8 to 10% of their revenue. So Nintendo don't play around. Even now, they still don't play around.
Nope.
They really stick to their guns to get their extra money.
Yeah.
So, I'll tell you something we're talking about. Someone and I were talking about was how Nintendo right now on the Switch will not bring prices down. They are definitely a stickler to earning their income. They do not care about if you get a cheaper deal. They're like, you're going to pay. Whereas PlayStation, they're like, yeah, it's been out for a while, so we're going to let you. But this is a prime example of Nintendo being how they're, but you got to in order to stay on top, you have to, you have to do your thing to make sure.
You got to have your ducks in a row. Especially when it comes to Nintendo. I don't even know if we're allowed to say Nintendo this many times in a video without paying.
Well, we definitely won't play into their stuff because I tried to do on the last episode. I tried to do a Pokemon thing and it did not work. The Nintendo holds it down like it said. This will not be anywhere.
Yeah,
they are out to make sure.
It could be in here right now. We have no idea.
Yeah. So this is one of the things you were talking about.
Late fees.
Blockbuster made a fortune on late fees. It's difficult to lose money gambling on the overbooked, overworked American consumer, and Blockbuster was no exception. The company profited enormously from late fees, which occurred from the one on 3-day rental term had expired. In 2000, $800 million, or 16% of the total revenue, came from fines. After the company revamped its policies in 2004 to trump no more late fees, New Jersey state attorney generally cried foul. While they may have been technically correct, a movie or game more than 8 days late means the customer was charged the full purchase price. Through Blockbuster's policy was to reverse the charges within 30 days. If the customer returned the item, they were still charged a restocking fee.
Which is look, if you're gonna charge me the full price of the game, I'm taking it. It's mine now. You know what I mean?
That's like the red box when it would charge you like the price, and you're like, I guess I'm just gonna own it. Like, yeah. I can get there in time.
Yeah, but it's also, I'm gonna pay full price of the game, and you're gonna charge me a restocking fee. Let me have that restocking fee. I'm just gonna take the game home and stock it on my shelf.
I'll play as long as I want.
Yeah, and you can't do nothing about it.
And I still won't go to the back room.
Yeah, still too scared to go through that curtain.
Blockbuster turned down Netflix, which is crazy because look where Blockbuster is and look where Netflix is as of 2025 when this is coming out. Netflix was just beginning its ascension into a DVD by mail and streaming giant when CEO Red Hastings met with Blockbuster in 2000 to pitch the possibility of his company handling Blockbuster's online efforts. At the time, Blockbuster could not conceive of how hashtags could add any value to their enormously successful enterprise. According to Forbes, hashtags was laughed out of the room. So obviously we know who won this one. Sometimes you think you're the big dog and you get taken down by the little guy.
Yeah.
Because look where Netflix is now. They keep changing the prices, and some are still paying.
We're still eating it up.
Some are getting it other ways.
To browse for 2.5 hours to find something to watch, only to watch something you've already seen.
Yeah, only to watch something you've already seen several times.
Yeah.
So Blockbuster later mailed Netflix a kitchen sink. Did you know that?
No.
After feeling the pressure from both Netflix and Redbox rental kiosks, Blockbuster developed its own mail rental service in 2004. According to the Fast Company with hashtags, told listeners on a conference call that the company had thrown everything but the kitchen sink at Netflix. In an attempt to be competitive, he received a kitchen sink in the mail from Blockbuster the following day.
That's funny.
The joke's on him, though.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Who would actually
need that sink back, though, dude, to wash your ego, cause
or to wash your dishes because you're not making the same amount of money.
It just bit you in the ass, for sure.
Blockbuster also tried to buy Circuit City. With Circuit City ailing, Blockbuster tried to arrange a buyout worth $1 billion in 2008, but the electronics franchise went bankrupt the following year. Blockbuster wound up losing $1 billion all by itself in 2010, forcing it into bankruptcy. So again, two companies that aren't around no more. They try to buy each other.
Yeah.
Which kind of seems like how it goes is if a company's going to go out, it seems like another company's trying to get them to keep them going.
Yeah.
But it's not the same when they're kind of bought together, you know. So
two failing businesses trying to buy each other doesn't work.
Also, someone noticed the title of the last movie rented at Blockbuster. So this is the last ever to come out of Blockbuster. Aside from the independently owned in name-only stores, the last official Blockbuster video game location closed in November 2013. The last title rental, Seth Rogen's 2013 apocalyptic comedy, This Is the End. The company posted a photo of the moment on its Twitter page, and yes, the customer still had to return it.
Whack.
That is funny. Is they still had to return it, even though, hey, this is not going to actually matter no more.
Hey, sorry, I know we're going out of business, but you're 3 days late. I'm going to have to charge you for that.
I think the funny thing is this is the end. That is the last one to be rented. Like,
ironic.
Like, I think Blockbuster will still hold a place in everybody's heart of like a place you would go to, you know, rent your movies or your video games, to like the experience of like the atmosphere, almost like here, kind of the experiment. The atmosphere is what makes your experience, and there's other places that try to do the same here after, but obviously everything's more digital. So on that note is our closing thoughts. So we covered, let's see, Blockbuster, arcades,
music, MTV,
PlayStation Magazine, Nintendo Power.
Nintendo
so just
Power.
some great topics for like kind of going this arcade feel, and this is something that will continue to happen more than just this one time. This is our first time, so if anything's a little off, we are working on making sure you guys get the best stuff that you could possibly get, because we want this to be a place that you come to like kind of enjoy yourself. You can listen to us in the car or watch us however you want to find us. Just make sure to go out and try to like, comment, and subscribe to any of our pages, whether it be Spotify, to, let's see, we're on YouTube, TikTok,
Instagram,
Facebook.
If you know people that are into similar things like this and you think they'd really vibe it, send it to them.
Or if you have ideas, you can message either of us, or you can comment, give us ideas on things that you would like us to talk about,
topics you'd like
to
hear.
Or if you have a story of something that we covered and you want to share it, go ahead, man.
Share it with us. Let us know.
I hope this helps anyone out there that's having a hard time, and that, or maybe it's just kind of like a casual listen in your car on your way to work or on the way to wherever you work. If you work in an arcade like Andrew, or if you work at a other place. So just kind of like, just enjoy this. I hope it finds a place where you can kind of like relax and enjoy a time when things were a little bit more simpler, as well as like thinking about how much things have changed from the past to now. Like, it's good to reflect and to understand like where we come from, because we come from a time when things were a little bit slower paced and everybody was kind of more enjoying themselves. So we just want you to kind of enjoy yourselves, have a good time. So on that note, until next time, peace.
Be kind to each other.